R. Purslane. Scientists have recently discovered that a common weed called purslane is capable of carrying out two different forms of photosynthesis, which is the process that allows plants to create nutrients using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. Some species have also evolved useful variations of photosynthesis that affect their yields or ability to survive in harsh environments. Plants such as corn and sugarcane utilize what is called C4 photosynthesis, which allows them to be much more productive than ordinary plants like wheat or soybeans, especially in high temperatures. Other plants, known as succulents, utilize what is called CAM photosynthesis, which allows them to survive in arid environments. Scientists say that purslane is the first plant ever discovered whose cells can carry out both C4 and CAM photosynthesis. In recent years, the climate crisis has been raising concerns among scientists that yields of plants like corn could diminish by up to 25% by the turn of the century. Purslane's unique form of photosynthesis, however, allows it to be highly productive, even in drought conditions. Researchers are optimistic that if its genes could be transferred to other crops, it would be possible to keep them productive even in the rapidly warming future that currently threatens humanity.
Questions. Number 35. What is one thing we learn about purslane? Number 36. What are scientists worried may happen in the future? S. The rings of Jupiter. Though far less well known than the magnificent rings around the planet Saturn, there is a small, faint set of rings around Jupiter as well. However, they are undetectable from Earth-bound telescopes. Sensors on the Pioneer 10 spacecraft, which passed by Jupiter in the early 1970s, gave indications that there could be an unknown moon or set of rings near the planet. However, it was not until they were spotted by the Voyager 1 space probe later in the decade that the ring's existence was confirmed. Saturn's rings are formed from ice and were delivered to the planet by comets, whereas analysis of Jupiter's rings has indicated that they are made up of dust. Scientists have long wondered if Jupiter may have had a more substantial set of rings earlier in its history, so they performed various computer simulations to determine how likely it was. The data showed that Jupiter's enormous moons are responsible for its flimsy rings. Their gravity seems to remove ice from the planet's orbit or attract it to themselves, which makes it theoretically impossible to form any Saturn-like rings. Massive planets like Jupiter tend to have numerous massive moons, so it is likely that had Saturn been larger, it would not have such spectacular rings.
Questions. Number 37. How did the Voyager 1 space probe increase our knowledge of Jupiter? Number 38. What did the computer simulations suggest? T. Chaos theory. It is not easy to make accurate weather forecasts for more than a short time ahead. To find out why it is so difficult, we need to look at a relatively new science called chaos theory. The father of chaos theory is a meteorologist called Edward Lorenz. In the late 1960s, Lorenz was working on weather forecasting at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. In the course of his work, he discovered that very tiny variations in the initial weather conditions could produce large variations in the final results. It had previously been assumed that initial variations in weather conditions of less than 0.1% could be ignored. Lorentz showed that these minor variations in the weather should not be overlooked, and the theory that was developed on the basis of his observations came to be called chaos theory. In practical terms, Lorentz's findings meant that it was impossible to predict the weather accurately for more than a few days ahead, and that is still the case today. Later on, the same theory was also applied to a range of different social sciences, ranging from economics to health care. In all these fields, the initial conditions involve human behavior, and because human behavior is unpredictable, accurate forecasting is nearly impossible.
Questions. Number 39. What is the main idea behind chaos theory? Number 40. Why is accurate forecasting in the social sciences difficult?
U. War against hedgehogs. In a quiet group of islands off the coast of Scotland, an unusual drama played out. In 1973, a resident of one of the islands brought in 7 hedgehogs to try to keep down the slugs and other pests in his garden. Unfortunately, some of the hedgehogs escaped. To their delight, they found that they could breed freely and had a plentiful supply of birds' eggs. 30 years later, the number of hedgehogs increased to an estimated 4,000, and the birds whose eggs formed the hedgehog's main food supply became in danger of extinction. To prevent this, the authorities decided that some of the hedgehogs had to be killed, and in 2003, 66 hedgehogs were gotten rid of, at an estimated cost of £1,500 per hedgehog. By this time, however, the British Hedgehog Preservation Society had stepped in. To protest against the killing of hedgehogs, which were on the decline in many parts of Britain, members of the society formed a group of volunteers to go to the islands and try to save the hedgehogs. Through their intervention, the plan to kill the hedgehogs was abandoned. Following this, there was a strong focus on catching the hedgehogs and taking them to the mainland of Britain, but not with huge success over many years of struggle.
Questions. Number 41. Why did the authorities decide to kill hedgehogs? Number 42. What does the speaker think will likely be the outcome of the hedgehog problem?